Kindly go through it once. YouTube channel is not responding there. So few of our trainers and students also complaining about this. YouTube channel is not at all started.
Yeah, we will check. We will complete, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So it's clear, right? All of you guys are understood what we are going to discuss about. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for responding. But here I'm going to check it out. So I'm going to use inspect, and here we have elements. All right. So where we are able to see that information. So we are not able to see that information in specific element. So in the body section, this is the head part and this is the body part. So here we are able to see the addition, and we are going to display that information. But here if you observe this, where the script elements are available. So the script elements are available after this HTML. But if you check this in the elements section, we're able to see the information in body section. The elements available in the body section, if you observe this. But we declare that information outside of the HTML, not only body, we declare that information outside of the HTML, closing tag. Even we are able to see that information in the body part. So this has happened because of this document@write function. When we are going to implement this document@write function, it will choose the body part as the default parent element for this. And each and every element will be displayed in that. So that is the reason we are able to see the script element in the body section when we are going to execute this. Alright. Similarly, now it's time to select an element. For example, if I have a division, I have some kind of sample text in it, that is a sample division. A sample division. We just created a division and we implemented a sample division in it. So let me save this and execute. Now this is the sample division and this is the addition is 30. So let me look into this. So here the first one is division and the second one is script elements. We're able to see entire elements are in the body part. The body part only. So here we have a calculation, that is script element, and here we have the final answer. The addition is 30. So it is running 2 times here. So because we used document@write and we are going to display that information in the front end. When we are going to use document@write, it will be called 2 times like this. Here this is 1 time and this is the first time we are calling this. So this is all about the document@write function. Very similar to this, if I want to sir, please explain it again. Yes, definitely. So we just used a script element, that's it, a script element. We just used a script element and we used these calculations by using variable declarations. We declared 2 variables. The first one is a equals to 10 and the second one is b equals to 20. So if you want to display any kind of information in the front end part, we have to use document@write function. So that is the reason I used document@write function here. Here the addition is, we just used the addition is, and this is the calculation part. So we did some kind of information that is going to display in front end part. For that we used document@write function, that's it. So this is what we discussed up to now. Just observe the coding part for a while. I will give you 1 minute. So just observe this coding part. Now is that clear? We just implemented some kind of calculations and we are going to display that information. But when we are going to use document.write, it selects the body part as the displaying value, and within the body we can see that information. So this is all about the DOM, document object model. So for example, I would like to display another document object, another statement. So I just copy this document.write, document.write. I'm going to print another statement, that is a new statement. I'm just going to display a new statement, that's it. And save this and execute in the browser. Yes, now we are able to see that information here. But this one and this one is completely belongs to a new line. Not only new line, we are going to display all the stuff in same line. So this is not exactly correct. If you want to display that in new line, we have to use document.write ln. That is, ln means line. We can display that information in new line. Let me save this and execute in the browser. Yes, we are not able to display that because so we are using this. After printing the statement, we can get a new line. So let me print a new statement by using document.write function. Document dot write function. So this is the last statement. So I am going to use, this is also a new statement, new statement 2. Alright, let me save this and execute in the browser once. Yeah, here also we are able to see that new statement is printing in the same line. So once I'm going to use ln, document.write ln, and save this and execute in the browser. No, here also we are able to see that information in the same line. So let me check, everything is fine. Document.write line. Document.write line. Let me use ln for the first statement. Document.write ln and save this and execute. No, we are not able to see that information on the new line. So everything is fine. Document.write line, write ln. It's fine. Document.write ln, write ln. Yes, it's fine. So let me remove these statements first, the calculation part, and save this and execute in the browser once. Yes, even also we are not able to see that information. So let me remove this. Actually, document.write line function is there. So we have to use that for displaying a statement in new line. Let me save this now, execute. No. Recheck all the stuff. Script document.write ln. Everything is fine. Document.write line, yes. Yes, document dot write ln, and everything is fine. Even we are not able to display that in new line. So let me use some kind of additional information, that is write, and I'm going to use a paragraph tag. A paragraph tag, and I'm going to use paragraph closing tag also for this. Here also I'm going to use paragraph tag and paragraph closing. So let me save this and execute in the browser once. This is fine, but we used paragraph. That is not fair. So we have to work out with ln, because paragraph tag is the block rule element. So we can display that information in 2 lines, not a problem. So here also we are able to see that information. When we are going to use write line, that is write ln, even also we are able to see the same kind of information because we used paragraph element here. So this is not correct. So I think the ln function is deprecated from the JavaScript. So here we used browser, that is Chrome only. Everything is fine. Chrome supports write line function. So I think this function gets deprecated. So documented write line break. This is too funny, right? So sir, can we can write script inside of the body? Remember, we can write script anywhere in the document, not only body, not only head section, outside of the HTML. Anywhere you can write JavaScript code by using scripting elements. Not a problem. So, and here very few of you guys have responded that documented write line break. Break is also for getting a new line, right? Breaking. That is not that much of a. Similarly, here we used document JavaScript. Echo we can use, but that is not exactly right, right? So that is not. So we have to work with the predefined functions. Echo is there, and JavaScript statement, this is wrong scenario. So we can mention this is JavaScript slash text equals to, not equals to. So this is type equals to JavaScript and text. We can use this. But remember, when we are going to use this JavaScript identifier, we'll look into this. So the performance will be decreases. We no need to declare this one again. Yes, yes, we need not to declare this again. Okay. So let me take a look into this. The statements are two statements are correct. The functionality and the yes, write line function is very clear. So we need not to use anything. So we can display, we can use document or write line function directly to display that information in new line. So let me remove this and execute it again. So once if you are using paragraph tag or division tag, that will be displayed in new line. That is bullshit. So we need not to use like that because those are the block rule elements. Without using block rule elements, we have to display that information by using predefined functions.
Excuse me, Harman sir. Sir, your screen is not visible to the students. Would you please reshare once again?
Okay. Screen is not visible. Okay. Is my screen visible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. So as per our discussion, so we have to use any kind of break elements or pre-element. So for displaying the data in new line. All right. So let me check it out for the function, because the document write line function is not working. So document dot write line function, right? Write ln is not working. Not working in JS. All right. So in the Stack Overflow, we are able to look into this. We are able to observe that. So from here, so yes, this is the answer. So HTML layout engine fold all white spaces to a single space. Of course, you need break element or some other mechanisms that are HTML uses for putting things in the separate lines. Of course, we also discussed about it. So we have to use break element, or we have to use pre element, or we have to use any other block level elements. Block level elements are nothing but division, paragraph, and all this stuff. By using that, we can display that information, because the JavaScript writer function was deprecated recently. So that is the reason we are not able to get that information in new line. So if you want to display that new line, so we have to use uh, some kind of block load elements. So we have a few block load elements available. So the break element and different kinds of block load elements are available. So document.writeLine function is deprecated. So it is not working now. So if you want to implement that, we have to use any kind of predefined elements, such as a paragraph or any other block load elements. For example, I am going to use the division, the second largest heading. Second largest heading, the heading tags are also the blockable elements. So that will be display that information in new line. So I am going to use div. Similarly, the closing tag for the division. Let me save this and execute. Yes, now we are able to see that information in new line, because the JavaScript function, write line function is deprecated. It's not working now. So in previous versions, we are able to see that. Line new in display 2 used often tag EP. That's what I'm telling. Remember everyone. So when we are going to use the block rule elements, HTML block rule elements, that occupies full width of the body. So that is the reason, once if you want to display that in new line, we have to use block rule elements. So document.writeLine function is deprecated. It's not working now. In the older versions, it's already there. So we can use in the older versions, but nowadays we are not able to use that, because that was already deprecated. So that is the reason when we are going to implement that, we are able to see there is no change. There is no difference between the write and write-line function. The write-line function was deprecated. Alright, so we saw this, and this is fine. And very similar to this, So here we use document.write function, but I'm going to display that information in specific division. For example, I'm going to display that information in this division. So in this division we have a sample division already. So I would like to display that information in this division. So for that we have to select it. We have to select it first. For selecting that, we have few kinds of functions available in JavaScript. So let me discuss about them. Let me discuss each one of them first. So I'm going to use the element name directly. So I'm going to use document dot get element by, yes, this is by. So we have to use tag name. I just used tag name. Tag name is nothing but HTML tag name. So we are selecting this by using the division. So the division, and I'm going to save this in a new variable. So that is where div element, where div element equals to document.get element by tag name. I just used document.get element by tag name. Alright. So let me print this. So when we are going to use document.get element by tag name, it will treat it as an array. So now div element is an array. So I'm going to display the div element first. Console.log, and I'm going to display the div element. Alright, let me save this and execute in the browser. So let me use the console, and what happened? So document dot get element, yes. So we have to use get elements. So because this is an array, this is a collection, so we have to use document.get elements by tag name. And let me save this and execute. So now we are able to see this is HTML collection. Collection is nothing but it's an array. So if I'm going to use index values, something like 0, I just used div element of 0. Let me save this and execute. Now we are able to see the simple division. So we just called this division first. So we just used a function that is document.get elements by name, by tag name. We are calling that information or specific element by using its tag name. Alright. Is there any doubts? Are you able to follow everyone? Kindly respond in the chat box once. Yes. Yes, fine. I think it's fine now. So what we do, so we just used a collection element. So when we are going to use a tag name, we have much more elements. So we have multiple elements available with the tag name. That is the reason we have to use a collection. So here if you observe this, I used document.get elements. Elements is nothing but collection. We are using collection here. Document.get elements by tag name. And similarly, if you want to get information, for example, if you want to get information from another division, for example, I have another division that is sample division 2. I'm going to use 2. So this is the sample division 2. Let me save this and execute. Yes, even also we are able to see the first sample division because we used index value here. If you observe this, here we used index values. So if I'm going to use 1, the second division will be displayed because this is another array element. So let me save this and execute in the browser. Now this is the sample division 2. A sample division 2. This is the second element of the array. So when we are going to use document.get elements by tag name, that indicates that a collection, that is a HTML collection. So we are storing the HTML collection here. Collection is nothing but collection of multiple values. So here this first division is one value and second division is another value. Both are combined together, we can call it as a HTML collection. And similarly, we can call that information by using a class name also. So for example, I'm going to use class equals to something like sample. I just used class as sample. Alright, so I'm going to use class name here. So we just used a tag name before. I'm going to use class name here. That is class name. Document.get elements by class name. So we are getting information based on the class name. So what is the class name here? Sample. So we have to mention the class name here. And we have only one element with the class name, so we have to use 0. So that is the first element. So we are calling the first index value. So let me refresh. Now we are able to see the class name, that is sample. So we are able to observe that in the console. Alright. So again, I'm going to use another class name here. So that is div class equals to sample again. So now if you want to display the second division element, we have to use document console.log div element of 1. Now we are able to see second element. So now tell me what is the difference between the document.get get elements by tag name and get elements by class name. What is the difference? Can anyone respond? Can anyone respond? What is the difference between document.get elements by tag name and class name? Using tag, we can use index. What is index? So here we use any kind of index. So both the cases we used indexes. In both the cases we used index values, right? It's like a basics. Select Mahesh. So whatever it may be, both are the collections. Tag name represented by tag. Basic. So remember, so both are the similar. So when we are going to use both the elements, so here we use document.get elements by class name and document.get elements by tag name. Even both are represented the collection, HTML collection. So we have to use index values. Those are mandatory. So when we are going to use these two, we have to call this with the index values. So here we used index values. But the tag name, we can select an element by using its element name. That is division, all the stuff. But by using class name, we can select the class name based on the class name. And similarly, we have another selector, that is I'm going to use ID. I already told you, so when we are going to use ID, that indicates the unique value. So here I'm going to use ID for this one also. So I'm going to use, this is the unique value, it represents only single value. So we can't represent the multiple values or collection. So we can use single value only. So here ID represents a single value. So when we are going to use a single value, we have to eliminate this S because this is not plural. So this is a unique value. So in this class name, we have to use ID instead of class name. Let me use ID. So document.get element by ID, that is sample. We have two samples which are indicating that ID. So ID equals to sample, ID equals to sample. We have two IDs with the same value, that is sample. So once I'm going to execute this, we need not to mention any kind of index value because this is a predefined value. So we can get a unique value, not collection. So let me save this and execute in the browser. So here able to see the first value, that is sample division. This is the first value. So once, if you observe this, here we declared two IDs with the same name, that is sample sample, but the first element will be called. The next element will be terminate. We are not able to call this information. So this is about ID. By using ID, we can get only one value, not multiple values. We can get only one value, or we can select a specific element of the HTML by using this ID. But when we are going to use documented get elements by tag name and class name, we can get the collection of elements. This is all about the document model. So is it clear, everyone? How we are going to select an element? Is it clear? So we discussed three functions: document.write, document.getElements by tag name, document.getElements by class name, and document.getElement by ID. So I hope you understand the differences between these three, isn't it? Yes, you are able to understand the differences. Now, let me tell you one thing. So I am going to create a form element, that is something like, yes. So here I would like to remove this, and I'm going to add a new input element, that is input type equals to text, and I'm going to use an ID, that is input1, and I'm going to use a placeholder, and that is first input. I just used an input. So let me save this and execute. Now we are able to see the first input here. Similarly, I'm going to get the entered value. So when we are going to enter a value, I'm going to display that information here. So I'm going to create a button, and type equals to button. Alright, so we are going to display a button. Type equals to button, and the value for this is check. I just used only check, and here I am going to implement a function, that is onClick. So when we are going to click on this, we are able to see another function, that is something like check the value. So check value is a function. Alright, so we created this, but we didn't implement any kind of function with the name of check value. So I am going to implement the check value function, and that is check value. So I'm going to implement this function and check value. Check value is the function. When we are going to click on this button, we are able to see the information available in this input. So if you want to display that input from this input block, so we have to select it first. So I'm going to use where the first input, right? So this is the first input. I'm going to use first input equals to document dot get element by ID. So what is the ID of input? That is input1. So we already given the ID is input1. I just used input1, and let me print that by using console.log statement or document.write function. I'm going to use document.write function, In that function, I am going to print the first input. So we are not able to display that value directly. So we have to display that value, but we are going to display the input element. So let me save this and execute in the browser. Now we have a button. So I'm going to enter some kind of text here, and I'm going to click on check. If you observe this object HTML input element, we're able to see object HTML input element. So very similar to this, we are not getting the value. If you want to get the value from this input block, we have to use value. So value is another function. So let me refresh now, and I'm going to enter a element, and I'm going to check it. Now we're able to see that information. We just used an input element, and when we are going to click on the button, we need to see that information in the browser. That's what we are going to do. So initially, so we have an input field that is something like hello, or hello everyone, hello everyone. So now just we entered this, and I'm going to click on this check. Now we're able to see that information, hello everyone. Very similar to this, if you want to check the type of it first name at the first input. So let me use type and save this and execute in the browser. Let me enter a string, and this is a string. Alright. Now let me enter the input values. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Let me check, this is also a string. So we can understand by default when we are going to use input type equals to text, that will be treated as a string. For example, I am going to use number, input type equals to number. I just used the input type equals to number, and check this once. So it asks for the input. We are not able to enter any kind of string values or any kind of characters. So we have to use the input elements that are numbers only. Let me click on check. Now we are able to see again this is a string. By using this, we can understand each and every information which we are entered in the input block, that will be a number. No, that will be a string. We have to convert it into a number if you want to do any kind of calculations. For example, we have an input value. This is the first input, and I'm going to use the second input. That is input 2. So this is the second input. I'm going to use second input as a placeholder. So this is the second input. And similarly for ID, I'm going to use input 2. And I'm going to use a button. This is add. So we are going to add the two numbers. I'm going to add a button name, that is add only. So we have two inputs and we have a button. So this is the check value. Now it's time to check, or now it's time to do the addition operation by using these two input values. So I'm going to use the second value also. It is where second input, that equals to document dot get element by ID, that is second value. So that is input 2. Input 2 dot value. So we need to get that information, that is the value, right? So that is the reason we used value. So this is the input 2. So here ID is input 2 and this ID is input 1. So now we are going to calculate the addition by using these two inputs. So we know by default we are able to observe these two are the string kind of data. So we have to calculate, we have to convert it into a number. So I am going to use number function. Alright, and similarly I am going to use number function for this also. So because by default we are able to see the string as the answer, here we are going to convert that into a number. That is the reason I used a number function here. Alright, so I am going to display the first input plus second input here. So that is first input, and I am going to use plus second input. we are doing the addition operation here. So let me save this and execute in the browser once. Now we are able to see two kinds of inputs, the first input and second input. When we are going to click on add, we are able to add the elements. So we didn't enter any kind of value. That is the reason we are able to see 0 as an answer. Similarly, I am going to enter 10 and this is 20. Let me click on add. Now we are able to see the 30. 30 gets added. So here we used the information, that is the first input. This is an input block and this is another input block, and we used a button, that is add button. When we are going to click on this add button, we can add these two elements together and display the result. But to use these two elements, but in the new line, if you want to display that information, that is the addition of that, so for that we have to use something like, for example, here I am going to use a span element. After this, I am going to use a break, and here I am going to use a span element. So if you observe this, the span element is empty now. The span element is empty now. I am going to use ID. ID equals to span again. So just hold on for a while. Alright, so we just used two input blocks, the first one and the second one. When we are going to click on that, we are able to see the addition. Now it is very similar. So now if you want to display that information in the same line only, for example, here I am going to use a span element, and here I am going to use a break element again. So when we are going to click on this button, we are able to see that information in the same page only. So for that, what we have to do, we have to create a span element, that is span ID equals to span. That's fine. Now we have to append this information. So for that, what we have to do, so we need not to write the document.write function again. So what we have to do, we have to do one thing, that is we have to call the span element first. The ID is the span ID, that is span only. So I'm going to create another variable, that is where result equals to document dot get element by ID. Alright, so and very similar to this, I'm going to use the ID. So what is the ID here? The ID is span only. Alright, so I'm going to use span, and if you want to display that information in the span element, what we have to do, we have to use another function, that is result. So result dot text content. So we have to use result dot text content. I just used result dot text content. What is the result is here? So result is nothing but the span element which we already created here. This is the span element, so this is the result here. So we used text content, and we are going to display that addition of two numbers here, the first input and the second input. And let me save this and execute in the browser once. Refresh, and I'm going to use 12 and this is 10. Let me click on add. Now we're able to see 22 here. Similarly, I'm going to use 123 and 103. Let me click on add. Now we're able to see 226 as the answer. Very similar to this, I'm going to use multiple values. Here also I'm going to use multiple values. Let me click on add. Now we're able to see the result. So this is how we are going to do the documents. Is that clear, everyone? Just respond in the chat box once. Is that clear? Are you following now? Yes, clear. If any kind of issue or any kind of doubts, please let me know. Is there any? So if you are having, yes, yes, it's clear, everyone. So it's clear. So, but the here, if I'm going to observe that attendance list, so in the starting of the session, I'm able to see 60, but currently the value diminished to 50. So nearly 10 persons or 11 persons get left from this meeting. I don't know why. All right. So that's fine. So we just used two elements and we just click on this add button. Now we are able to see that information here. That's fine. All right. So this is all about the DOM manipulations, document object model. So what we did, so we used a few kinds of functions. So those are, the first one is document dot write function. We just used document dot write function, and we also discussed about document dot write function that is deprecated. That is the reason I'm not mentioning this in this table in the sequence. So the next function is document dot get elements by tag name. So this is for getting information based on the tag name. And similarly, document dot get elements by class name. This is, we can call that information based on the class name. And the final one is document dot get element by ID. Get element by ID. So you can get a unique value. So these two are the collections. Document dot get elements by tag name and document dot get elements by class name. These two are the collections. But this is the unique value. Document dot get element by ID. So it gets only unique value. Based on that, we can assign the value to that. So most of the people that responded, that is yes, it's clear up to now. And similarly, we discussed the text content. So we discussed text content. So for assigning a specific value to the selector. So this is for getting information. Internet is issue here. Are you able to see my screen, everyone? Screen is not. Okay, screen not visible. I just shared the screen again. Reshare the screen. Screen is not visible. Even it is not visible. Now it's visible. Yes, now it's visible, right? Oh, visible. So some kind of up and downs in the internet access. That is the reason some very few cases we are able to face this kind of issues. Okay, no problem. Alright, so we discussed the text content, and similarly the most important function is inner HTML. Inner HTML. Alright, so we can use inner HTML. And let me talk about this inner HTML first. So we discussed all these concepts: document write, document get element by tag name, document get elements by class name, document get element by ID, text content also. So what is the importance of text content here? Can anyone respond in the chat box? What is the importance of text content? Yes, please open the code. Yes, definitely I will open the code. I will wait for 1 more minute. It's it means paragraph. No. It means paragraph. No. What is the importance of text content? I am asking what is the importance of text content. So here if you observe this, we use text content, right? This one. This is the text content. What is the importance of text content here? So we just selected an element, that is span element, and we just use text content. What is the importance of text content here? Addition of both the inputs. For example, if I don't have any kind of information there, I'm not having this, I'm going to use some kind of text. Sample result. This is sample result. I just used the sample result. Now tell me what is the importance of text content? I'm going to execute this also. Alright, so let me click on add. We are able to see sample result. Now tell me what is the importance of both inputs. Number result is converted into text and displayed as a content. That is fine. So once if you want to display information by selecting an element, yes, display the content. So we just focused on this. We are going to display that information. That's it. So we are not calculating, or we are not doing any kind of thing. So we just displaying the data by selecting a specific element. We just selected a span element and we are displaying that information there. So if you want to display the information, so we have to use the text content. For example, yes. So for example, here in the span, I have some kind of text, that is this is new result. So I have a text that is new result. So let me save this and execute in the browser. So we are able to see new result. When we are going to click on that, this will be converted into a sample result. If you observe this, this will be converted into a sample result. Similarly, I am going to add another H2 element for this. I am going to add H2 element. I just used H2 element here. Alright, so let me save this and execute in the browser. Yeah, we are able to see H2 element here and sample result and H2 also. So for selecting a specific element, so we just selected a specific element here. So we selected a specific element, that is span element. We used where result equals to documented get element by ID for selecting this, and we are going to display information by using text content. Now once if you are using this, this is not converting into H2. So this displays the information directly. So this text content, the main drawback of this text content is whatever we are going to write in the assignment symbols that will be displayed as it is. So we need not to do any kind of manipulations by using text content. So let me use another function, that is inner HTML. So this is also for displaying that information by selecting a specific element from the HTML. I'm going to use inner HTML here too. I just used inner HTML, and let me save this and execute in the browser once. Alright, let me click on add. Now we are able to see the sample result. If you observe that the inner HTML as well as the text content are similar for displaying that information. But by using inner HTML, we can apply the HTML properties to that. We can apply HTML elements to that. But in text content, we are not able to do that. We are not able to do that, and the information will be displayed as it is we represented in the text content. That is the difference between the inner HTML and text content. Both are not audible. I am not audible. So kindly respond anyone. Am I audible or not? Audible. So audible. Yes, audible. So Kumar, I think there is a problem with your internet access. Just recheck once and let me know. Sometimes it's not audible. Is it now fine? Is this fine now? Yes, it's fine. Yes, audible. What about Kumar? Is my voice audible now to you? Kumar, kindly respond in the chat box. Vijay Vamsi responded yes. What about Kumar? Okay, so this is the difference between the inner HTML and text content. Now tell me, what is the difference between inner HTML and text content again? Now it's okay, Kumar responded. So now tell me, what is the difference between text content and inner HTML? Yes, audible. I'm asking, what is the difference between the text content and inner HTML? In text content, it's blindly print everything. Yes, yes, that's it. That's the absolute answer. Inner HTML executes HTML properties to the text, where text content prints as it is. Yes, absolutely. And similarly, Chaitanya is also responded. Anand is also responded. Inner HTML is used to apply style to result. Yes, by using HTML element. Whereas when we are going to use text content, it will be displayed automatically as it is. So that is the difference. Okay. Okay. Similarly, here I am going to use, where is that? So this one. So I am going to use inner HTML. This is the inner HTML, right? So I just used inner HTML. That's it. I'm going to use inner HTML. That's it. I didn't use anything. So let me save this, refresh, and click on add. Now we are able to see the same result. So when we are not doing anything, if you want to get information, for example, I'm going to use a where the final result equals to the result.inner HTML. I just used where final result equals to result.inner HTML. What is the result here? The span element. From the span element, we are using inner HTML, and we are storing that value in inner final result. I would like to use console.log statement here. Console.log, and I'm going to use final result. Now, let me save this and execute in the browser. So I'm going to click on this. So let's open the console. Yes, we are able to see the new result. So let me click on add. Now we are able to see the new result here. So by using inner HTML, we can add information to it, or we can get information from the specific element. So in the span, we have a specific element that is new result. So if you want to display the value of the element, we have to use the inner HTML, the result.inner HTML. So if I'm going to use text content here, what will happen? I'm going to use text content. So I just used text content and I'm going to execute that in the browser. Let me save this. Let me click on add. Now here also we are able to see the new result as the result. So both the functions are same, the inner HTML and text content. But if you're going to use the paragraph tag for the new result in span element, I'm going to use a paragraph tag. And this is a new result, right? I'm going to cut this and paste it within the paragraph elements. That is new results. That's fine. And I'm going to use the paragraph element here also. So this is the text content. Let me save this and execute in the browser. Now I'm going to click on add. Now we're able to see the new result as it is. Similarly, when we are going to use inner HTML, so that is inner HTML. Alright, let me save this and execute in the browser again. Refresh and click on add. Now we are able to see the paragraph element here. When we are going to use inner HTML, we can get the exact result. We can get exact value of it, even we are using the HTML elements. But when we are going to use the span element, when we are going to use the text content, that won't consider the HTML elements. So this is the differences between the inner HTML and the text content. So by using inner HTML, we can get the HTML values also. Here we declare the HTML value, that is paragraph. Even we are able to observe that. But when we are going to use text content in inner HTML, so we are not able to get any kind of HTML element. We can get only the result, that is new result. That's it. That statement only we can see that in console menu. But we are not able to observe the paragraph element here. But when we are going to use inner HTML, we can get all the information available in the specific element. So here we are using ID, that is span, and based on this we are selecting this, that is the paragraph element. And final result equals to result of inner HTML, because we are selecting that based on span element. So whatever the information is available in the span element, we can display that by using this inner HTML. Whereas text content is not focusing on the inner part of it. It only focuses on the statement. So we have one inner part in that is paragraph element, but it's not focusing on that. So this is only focusing on the content which is available in the span element. But whereas inner HTML, we can display that entire information along with the HTML elements also. So these are the differences between the text content as well as the inner HTML. So is there any way we can disable the copying content from website by HTML or JS? Yes, it's possible. It's possible. We can avoid that copying. So now, first of all, let me know, is that clear everything as we discussed till now? Yes. Yes. Most of the people responded. Yes, it's clear up to now. So yes, it's clear up to now, and so who is that? One person asked me that how to stop copying content. Yes, yes. So we can uh, so stop copying. That is very important. Okay. So that means copying means shortcut keys. That is Control C and Control V, all this stuff, right? So we have few events. Yes, yes. So that is also possible. We can disable the right click also. So when we are going to right click on that, that is allows us to. Uh, so so we have to use jQuery. Yes, disable copying. Yes, yes, disable copying. So yes, can you tell us? Yes, yes, definitely I will tell you, but we have to use jQuery instead of it. In JavaScript, we have to write bulk of code. So we have to write very lengthy code. In jQuery, we can do that directly by using stop copying. So we can do that. For example, yes. So where is that? So our code is this one. So this is our code. So this is the new result, right? I am going to stop the copying. So we have events. So let me use on copy here. On copy. On copy equals to, let me use return false. So that is return false. I just used return false, and so we have to use select start also on select. Let me use on select. That is also, I'm going to make this as return false. Return false on select, and on copy. This is, I think, small. Yes, small c. This is on select. Let me save this and execute in the browser once. Refresh. This is selecting. This is copying also. Let me paste it. Yes, this is pasting here also. So let me refresh it again. Let's disable the select. So let me apply the same content to this input field. For example, here this is the input field. Let me copy and paste it here. Yes, we are able to copy this one also. I'm going to apply the events to the input element, because we can apply the events to the input elements directly. So this is the input type. This is the second one. I'm going to use. This is the first one. I'm going to use the on copy and all the stuff. Let me refresh. Now let me copy this. and cut paste are also completed. All are happening. I'm going to select it, copy this and paste it here. So even also it's possible. So I will tell you this when we are going to use jQuery. So we can do that by using jQuery. It is very simple, but for displaying this, uh, so this is in CSS it's possible. I know this. In CSS it's possible. We can make it everything is none. So but we have to avoid all the stuff by using JavaScript, not CSS. We have to do that by using JavaScript. So we already discussed we can use disable by using CSS, but it's possible, but we have to use JavaScript. Not only a single value, we can do that in entire functionalities. Okay, so the time is already 6:30. We will discuss about this tomorrow. So yes, just remind me tomorrow also. So we will write a little bit code without using any kind of libraries that such as and all this stuff. So we are only using JavaScript to find this copying and disabling copy and paste all the sounds. So we will discuss about this tomorrow again. So just remind me when the class starts tomorrow. All right. So thank you everyone. Thank you very much for asking the wonderful doubts. So yes, we on select start. Yes, that's fine, but we already did that. We already did that, right? So we used on select start and all the stuff. So we will look into that. So actually, these functions are available on select start, on paste, on copy, on cut, and on select also. So we can disable everything. Okay, we will look into that. Don't worry, Janathan. So similarly, Naveen Kumar sent me a group invitation. I think. Please kindly join our WhatsApp group. So why not? Definitely, I will be joining there. If you are having my number, you can add me in that. I will join it later. And we recently got a feedback. So thank you, each one of you. So we got wonderful feedback from you guys. So thank you for encouraging us. So the feedback is also one of the aspect. Not only positives, we are observing few kinds of negatives also. We will try to recover that. So very few of you guys have responded to that, something like some kind of internet issue. So in such times we are able to see some kind of gap between the session. So we will trying to overcome that, definitely. So this platform is occupying more internet access than comparing to normal one, GoToMeeting or Zoom. So that is the reason sometimes we are able to see up and downs in the internet access. So in that case, we are able to take some kind of gap for reconnecting the meeting. So that is the reason the gap is happening. Okay, whatever it may be, we will resolve that later. So thank you everyone. Thank you for responding.